Okay.
Mm.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm excited to say that today we're sitting down with Baby Hulk MMA, a rising MMA fighter. Hey there. A rising MMA fighter known for raw power, relentless work ethic, and sharing the real grind of life inside and outside of the cage, right? This is a look at mindset, a discipline, journey, behind the highlights and the clips. So, welcome, Baby Hulk MMA. Welcome to our interview today. We're excited to have you. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much, and I am having a great day. I'm blessed.
Amazing. Amazing. And where you calling in from today?
Just in from the office, just took a couple minutes for my training to come talk to the people.
Absolutely. We all have to work outside of the
Mhm.
ring sometimes, right? The
Yes, ma'am.
life of an athlete, doing everything at the same time.
Mhm.
Uh, amazing, amazing. So, I'm just gonna get right into it if that's okay, right?
Of
So,
course, let's go.
all right, amazing. So today's interview, or all the interviews that we do, is about the life of the athlete. It takes a lot to be a competing athlete, balancing life, uh, personal life, professional life, work, making money, all of it together. And what we're interested in these interviews is to understand, like, how do you do it? Like, how do you bring it all together? So for you specifically, what was like the first thing that drew you to wrestling and combat sports while you were growing up? Bring us back to the beginning, when it all started.
Yeah, so for me, it always appealed to me just because I am like naturally a smaller athlete, and a lot of the like more like prominent sports in America are ball sports, football, uh, basketball, football, baseball. But me, I really like that along with being smaller, like wrestling kind of caters to, not only your weight and your size, but also as an individual sport, right? So I don't really have to worry about anybody else doing their job or, maybe um costing me or like, anything like that. It's all kind of dependent on me. I'm very much like dependent on self. So I love that. It's just a very hard sport, mentally taxing and very, difficult, but the rewards that you get out of it are, abundant.
Yeah, yeah. So what was like the turning point? Like you were a kid in school, right? And you
Mhm.
were active and athletic, and what was that minute or time or experience that said, I think I'm gonna do this,
Mhm.
more seriously? What was that time? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, so I think the perfect like nexus point to where it kind of clicked for me was my second year wrestling. I lost a lot of matches, but a lot of the matches came down to 1 or 2 points, and I just didn't understand why I couldn't get over that hump. And I did some research. I talked to other friends who were very, uh, were doing well in wrestling, and they let me know that you have to train all season, right? This isn't just come in couple of months and train, and hopefully you can win some matches. You got to really dedicate yourself to this, really put in the time and effort. And once I really realized, like, hey, man, I'm tired of losing these close matches. Like, I want to win these matches. And
Hmm.
then from my sophomore year to my junior year and my junior year to my senior year, it was like just huge growth, huge um, bounds in my game that, I could really notice. So that's when it really was for me. It's like, hey, you can't play around with this. If you want to be good at something, you got to put your all into it and, really give it your best shot.
Yeah, you either have to be all the way in or all the way out. The middle stuff just you're just losing in anything in life,
Hmm.
really, right? It's like either you're all the way in or you just forget it. Don't do it. Don't waste your
Yeah,
effort.
very much so. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So good for you. So you kind of then started to train all season. And for those that don't know, how long is the season? When does it start? When does it end? How does it go?
Yeah, so rest of the season depend on like how far you go because there's like states and it's the region, the conference, the state. Anywhere from middle beginning of October all the way into February. So for, young athletes who have to, diet and conditioning through a lot of the major holidays is always tough like that. Going into, different seasons is always hard. And just wrestling being as brutal and as grueling of a sport as it is, that long period really taxes you mentally as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then so so that's only like October to February, so that's only 4 months, right? So what
Mhm.
happens then for the other 8 months of the year? You still have to train, right? Or what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you always have to train, and then especially for guys, in high school, you're obviously getting bigger, you're growing into your body. Like then you also have to deal with the aspect if you want to like cut weight, and kind of alter your body in that way. And that makes it a hard decision too. If you're, really prominent, or if you go to a really good school for wrestling, they might want you at a specific spot for that year. So now you have to manage not only, your skill set, but your body and your food intake and all that. And that could just be very, just it takes a lot of dedication to like hit all of those marks.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of things to sort out during that time. And then you also have to work and make money and pay the bills on
Yeah,
top of it,
yeah, go to
right?
school, do something. Yeah. And so it's very hard on top of, just regular life.
Yeah. Oh, you're not still in school though, right?
No, no, I was referring like
For like
high
younger
school
athletes.
kids, college.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Right,
mhm,
right. You've already been there, done that. You're a pro,
mhm,
Yeah, okay, amazing. So you've been through the time where you have to manage school on top of everything else. And I see
mhm.
here that you transitioned from wrestling to UNC Pembroke, then into martial arts. Is that right?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
how did that transition happen? Kind of walk us through what that felt like and what you had to do in order to make those transitions.
Of course. So when I left high school, the only thing I wanted to do when I went to college was wrestle. Like I didn't really care about degrees or like campuses. I really only want to wrestle. And I was lucky enough to find UNC Pembroke, beautiful campus, beautiful school life, but also one of the best D2 colleges in the nation for wrestling. And I went there, worked my butt off. I was on the club team for a few years, and then naturally the coach saw like my hard work, my dedication, my skill, and he invited me to be on the team. And when I was on the team, I had some good wins. I was a starter for a while, but everybody has those big dreams of being a All-American, maybe wrestling at the national tournament, doing just real big, grandiose things. And unfortunately, I never achieved those things in wrestling that I wanted to. And when I got out of school, I went back to my old gym to, help the younger kids growing up, and I just love being around the sport. Naturally, I ran into like, different martial arts, jujitsu, and that's where I found my head coach, John Salter, who is a professional fighter and one of the best in the world. And, he kind of seen some talent in me, took me under his wings, and
Hmm.
like fast forward, we're here.
Amazing. That's amazing. And Baby Hulk, what does that mean? Where does it come from? What does it represent? I'm sure the fans would love to know the details behind that.
I always love telling this story. So if people don't know, I'm a naturally let's say small in stature individual. So,
But what's
people who
small? Like, what
see
do you mean by small? What is
I,
small considered?
I'm short. I'm what the
Okay.
kids call short.
What is
So
that? What is that?
I'm five even to be
Oh, amazing.
exact. Yes, yes,
Amazing.
ma'am.
Okay.
So
You
I'm in this height for what you said?
Go ahead. Go ahead. I love that. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So naturally like growing up I was like a smaller kid, but I always worked out. So at one tournament, this manager see me and she said, it said, you're so like jacked, but you're so short. You're like a baby
Baby
Hulk.
Hulk.
And then everybody started laughing. I thought it was very hilarious. And then like that was the name she called me because you see teams all around different tournaments around the state. So whenever we would link up and she would see me, she would refer to me as Baby Hulk. I just ran with it into college, and then when I got on the street beast and I had my first fight, and they said, "What's your fight name going to be?" It just seemed like the obvious choice to run with, and it definitely served me well.
I love it. I love it. And green? Do you wear green a
Oh
lot as
yeah.
a result? Okay. So
Oh
that's
man, it's all about brand. I do like green. It looks good on me.
well, it's also, Hulk. Hulk is
Yeah,
green,
right.
right? Okay, amazing. That's a very good story. So, you competed in professional MMA and made yourself known through platforms like Street Beefs, right?
Street beefs, yes, ma'am.
What was that experience like, stepping into the ring with the bigger opponents? And, what are we losing light here? Okay,
Yeah,
we got
sorry
it.
about that. It is sensor.
That's okay. We need to make a little bit more movement, right?
Yeah, right.
All
So,
right, tell us a little bit
yeah,
about that.
yeah. So that was uh a very surreal experience, especially because I at the time didn't know how big of a platform Street Beast was. At the time, I think they had over 1 million subscribers, going into 2 million, and I happened to be a part of the wave where more support came, more viewership came. So at the time, I didn't really know how big of a deal it was. It wasn't
Mm.
until my first match I won. I'm like, oh, that was cool. I very much wanted to see what it was all about. And then when I started getting recognized, not just from the people in my gym who had seen it, but people on the streets who had seen it. And then obviously, as I had more and more fights, I got more recognizable. Into ultimately, I had my very viral fight on Street Beefs that kind of catapulted me with that one.
Amazing. I love that. I love that story. And yeah, I've seen your social. It's like a mix of athletic stuff, obviously competitive stuff, but then motivational
Mhm.
and, spiritual and stuff like that. How do you decide which direction to go, what to share with your community and all that?
That's a great question. Obviously, I always want the main thing to be the main thing, right? I'm
Yeah.
a very self-motivated person, and my social media always wants to highlight hard work and positivity. I'm a very positive person. I try to, showcase that whether through social media or just in the real world, and try to be a good guiding light to people, and just it's kind of like at the moment, what am I feeling on my heart? It's like obviously workout stuff, but then I might post some anime stuff that I'm very, big onto. And then I'm always trying to inspire people. So whatever's kind of on my heart that day, I want to share with, my fans and my supporters. And usually like they're on the same vibe as me. So it all kind of works out.
Yeah. So sharing the real you, whatever it is you're going through. It's
Yeah,
exactly what
authentic. Hmm.
Right, exactly. It's like what we were talking about earlier. Just, fans and our communities want to know, you want to know the real you, your real story, where you're coming from, where you're going, the challenges. And that's what you were feeling that day, and that's what you share. And, you know, fans appreciate that. They want to know
Hmm.
what's happening in your life and follow your journey. So I love that. And it's, as athletes, there's so many ups and downs, right? And you gotta have the spiritual, the motivational part like nailed down and keep bringing that back to yourself, right? When things
Hmm.
aren't 100% going the way you had anticipated. So I'm sure you're all, you know, professionals being in the area of motivation, as I have to be as well as like CEO
Hmm.
of a company. There's always these ups and downs that feel like, oh my gosh, today is the end of the world. And then you take a take a couple of breathers and it's 2 hours later and like, oh no, it doesn't look so bad because, I got
Yeah,
it.
but
Yeah.
definitely.
Just kind of doing that for yourself on an ongoing basis. So what's the highlight right now in your career? Where are you? What are you super focused on and what's next in your career?
So at this point, I kind of label this year as just my comeback. Not that like I feel like I am like any lower in my career or anything like that, but life be life, and the last year between just work and just family stuff, I wasn't able to perform to the level that I expected myself. So this year is just really getting back on that horse, really like re-solidifying like why people love me and like what I'm all about because through and through, I feel like I'm a fighter and I'm very resilient. So this is what this year is about. It's about building back up all the momentum and, bringing everybody, reminding everybody what they love about me and what they expect from me.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And so what does that look like as far as your training and what you're pursuing in the ring concerned?
Oh yeah, so what that looks like in the short term, in 2 weeks, actually I'm going up to Atlanta with a couple of my teammates. We have a jujitsu like kind of tournament matches for all five of us. I'm actually going to be in the main event, defending my belt. So it looks like a nice dominant win there. My manager is looking for my next MMA fight, hopefully coming up in March or April, and just stacking these dubs. That's really what I need. Whether it's jujitsu, whether it's MMA or anything like that, I'm just really trying to get these wins, get this momentum, and ultimately, hopefully, fit on like a real big exclamation point at the end of the year, and then taking all that good juju, taking all that good motivation into the next year.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. I hear that excitement in your voice of like, resetting a little bit, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah, amazing. So how would it feel if you could like have your fan community train with you and like follow some of your training and actually do it and actually kind of see themselves, see their own performance next to you and how they compare with you and stuff. Would that be cool, interesting, not interesting? What do you think?
That would be the most interesting, exciting thing in the world to me because along with obviously motivating people, like I train people, and obviously for me, the biggest like pleasure or gratification of that. It's just seeing people like be better than they were, pushing their expectations, being more than they thought they could be. So that type of thing, very much excites me. I don't know if they could keep up. The
No,
workouts are going to
no,
be a little hard,
let's try.
but
Let's
right. But ultimately, I want to see like that effort, and I want to see people, like try their best and just be their best.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, they won't be able to keep up. You're a pro plus, right? But there'll be something like a leaderboard, and they can climb up this leaderboard, but they're copying you and watching you and getting better in the sport, whether you're doing jujitsu at the time or MMA training or whatever it is. But that's like to me, that's what we're trying to bring to the world, to your world as an athlete Thravos is to allow those kinds of experiences where you're doing your training, you're showing some of that digitally, and then fans can follow and can get graded based on how well they're matching up with you and how much energy and intensity they're putting in. So I'm excited to be working with you. I welcome you to Thravos. Um, these are all the questions I had. Is there anything else you want to share with us specifically that highlights the next steps you're taking in life, maybe the challenges you're dealing with, or maybe it's all good news, just something that wraps up our chat here today.
Yeah, if I could just talk to the people real quick. I guess I would say the reason why people really kind of bond to me or feel a type of connection with me, because guys, I'm just like you. I'm not perfect. I'm not some super talented, undefeated guy. Like I'm a hardworking dude who works up every day, puts his foot in front of the other, and I just grind. I grind it out, and I live. I guess I live my life true to myself. I try to live free, and I really try to motivate and encourage people to do the same, right? Follow your dreams, encourage people, spread that positivity. And if I always say this, if a knucklehead like me could do it, I know y'all could do it. So ultimately,
Now,
I know, but ultimately, I'm just like, I'm regular, degular, but I give extraordinary effort, and I feel like everybody can do that.
yeah, that's very humble of you. You're not very ordinary, obviously, to be making it as a professional in the MMA. You have talent and you worked really hard to get there. A lot of people in the world just don't want to put in that effort and go the extra mile. So that's a special person that goes that extra mile or that extra 10 miles or whatever that is, right? No, it's true. It's a lot. It's not like it's not ordinary at all. So, but I appreciate that you're being humble. Thank you for that.
Thank you very
And
much.
I'm excited that you're here. I'm sure fans are going to really enjoy watching our interview and more to come. Thank you, the special super baby Hulk. Great to
Thank
see
you
you.
very much.
Thank you. Thank you. See you later. Bye.
See you.